Yes, I am.
Okay, you want to put the live event up, Paul? Here we go.
We are started, Mr. Chair.
Now we've got the echo.
I wonder if it's Sam.
You want to mute Sam for a second? I mean, Nick?
Or Nick, yeah.
All right, do I hear an echo?
That was it.
All right,
Sorry,
Nick,
Nick.
it was you. All right, let's go on the record here. Are you putting, is the live event up yet? It's not.
It is.
Oh,
it
it
is
is.
going, Mr. Chair. Yes.
Very good, okay. Let the record reflect, it is Tuesday, April 27th, and the board is convened to consider our docket today. And the first case that we're going to call is a case that was set for 12:30, and let the record reflect it is 12:33. It's a Division of Industrial Compliance case, and it's case number 21-0033, and it deals with the premises located at 300 2nd Avenue in Gallipolis. And the division's adjudication number is noted on the docket. Based on the presenters list that I have that was compiled by Susan, it looks like we have Randy Breach on behalf of the appellant. We have Jeff Eaton on behalf of the division. Mr. Breach, is there going to be anybody else appearing with you?
No, sir. I'll be speaking as the engineer, the property owner, and on behalf of the Davis family that has one of the condominiums we're going to be discussing.
Okay, and Jeff, you're flying solo as well?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, the case has been called. Mr. Breach and Mr. Eaton, if you would stand, raise your right hand. Nick, you'll have to unmute, administer the oath. Unless you want me to administer the oath, I can do that.
I can do it. It's fine. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay. All right. Very good. Mr. Breach, you have the floor.
Okay. This project is at the Lafayette Building in Gallipolis, Ohio, and it involves the renovation of 2 floors of an original 1927 hotel into condominium spaces. We have one condominium, which is one of our cases, on the 2nd floor, and we have one condominium on the 3rd floor. And one of these, I don't have the number right in front of me, but one of these had to do with the client on the 3rd floor, as they currently own that condominium. It was actually completed last year, and they actually own it. And so they're in their 70s. I'll be speaking on their behalf. Middle of the situation where we, during the COVID situation, proceeded forward with their condominium first. And I had no plans reviewed at that time. At that time, I was having trouble keeping up with everything going on, since it seems like I'm the only engineer architect left in 4 counties in my area here. So we did proceed on and do some work. That work was done with licensed individuals and utilizing the building code in most aspects. The issue with the Davises include it would be the same issues pretty much on both levels. The one for myself, not the Davises, it was item 4 in Mr. Burke's correction letter requesting a full site plan on this project. In the case of this old hotel, it's on a corner in our Gallipolis City Historic District, and the property line is the perimeter of that building. And so we have no dedicated parking to show, although we had put in a parking lot across the street just for the owners of the condominiums, not for the various businesses that we have on the first floor. There are 5 existing businesses on the first floor. There's an abandoned restaurant in the basement. And then these 2 floors were the old sleeping rooms that have been turned into residences for some questionable folks that were causing some problems due to their drug habits, let's say. And so we totally dismantled the 2nd and 3rd floors, which a drug dealer had really done a lot of damage to, and we recovered a lot of old drugs. We cleaned the whole building out really well, and that's when we decided to try to do these condos. I'm just giving you a little bit of background here. But in any case, we moved ahead, and the issues, this first one is with this building is in a historic district. There's really no substantial amount of information to be gained by doing a site plan. I did provide Mr. Berg with the details on the gas service that was put in under one of the commercial permits I obtained in earlier years, and then the electric service was put in at the same time. So we have electric and gas. The water service is the original service with the pipe replaced by the city of Gallipolis because it was put in 1927. We have a bad infrastructure problem in the area, so it is a new water service. And on top of that, we still have an existing water service from the city of Gallipolis for the whole building for sprinkler systems. And that was just put in about 30 years ago. And so what we've done, the basement is sprinkled, has been since the 80s. We did not sprinkle the commercial spaces on the first floor, but all floors are separated by a concrete slab floor. And all of the existing hotel means of egress are in fire enclosed stairwells and fire enclosed lobbies. So I would just like, instead of doing a full scale site plan on this project, I thought it was pretty evident the important features, and those are reflected on my plans. So the reason I'm just asking that I not waste my time trying to, I mean, it is building against building in this historic district in Gallipolis, and one end and one side of this building is entirely exposed to Court Street and 2nd Avenue in Gallipolis. All these services have been in place for years, and like I said, there's we provided parking space across the street, excuse me, and there are some handicap spaces along the sidewalk outside the building that can be utilized by anybody that would be handicapped, but that's pretty much at this time just in the retail spaces and office spaces on the first floor. That's the whole story on that one.
Okay, let's we'll stay on that because we've only called that case at this point in time. Questions of Mr. Breach by members of the board?
You said the property line is basically the building, so does that mean the canopy or the balcony overhangs the right of way of the street?
That is correct. The City of Gallipolis Historic Board has control. That is State Route 7, and that is our 2nd Avenue. And so before proceeding with that, we did appear before the Historic Board and the Planning Commission for the City of Gallipolis to get their permission to be able to do that. So it actually only touches the building itself where the roof connects in, because there is a roof over those balconies.
So you have an easement or something then? To allow that?
Excuse me?
Do they give you an easement?
The state did not give us an easement, but the city handles easements along State Route 7 as it goes through Gallipolis. And so they can allow to put signage in and whatnot. And then they have been allowed to put canopies in front of some of the buildings, but nothing as extravagant as our balconies. But then the only thing that meets the ground is 8 steel columns, and overhead of this is 12 foot clear of anything else in the way of obstructions. And we did put in heavy duty steel reinforced to support these balconies, and it was just signed off by the various boards of the city of Gallipolis, given the right to do so, such as they can change parking and all these issues, and ODOT works along with them on such things. But we don't have anything from ODOT, who is responsible for State Route 7. But we as property owners are expected to maintain our sidewalks out to the curb, and we do so in that historic district.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, more of a comment than a question. I mean, obviously you're familiar with what's required. I don't think it would take you very long to put together a site plan. I don't see any hardship why you would need a variance, why we need to change the law for you versus anybody else in the state that's applying. And part of the reason why is because you've constructed in the right of way. You haven't reached out to ODOT, who technically owns that property, right? The state owns that property. You've built on state property. So I do think a site plan is necessary, and I think there's probably additional approvals that you need to get for building in the right of way for a state route. That's my comment. So can you, maybe you could, if you would, maybe other than you don't want to do it, what's the hardship for not providing a site plan?
I guess there's like another building I brought before the board a couple of months ago that is right beside that building, where they asked for a site plan. You're asking for setbacks and you're asking for all these things that aren't there. But I mean, I can do if that's what is necessary, I can do what there is of a site plan. It's just all utilities for years. And I guess then the big issue is the fact that those balconies are out. And then this would show that. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Then I have no problem with doing one.
If you were to submit a site plan, Jeff, does that require another a fresh look at an adjudication by the division?
It may or may not. It will help us determine compliance. Knowing that this is a 0 lot line building, I let the examiner know that. But to Mr. Beegan's point, I think it'll just, delineate more that those canopies are not on the property and actually in the right of way. But outside of that, we've had different formats of that. It's a Google map aerial shot with some added information drawn over top of it. Whatever Mr. Breach can provide easily that provides the information that's required in 106. That's all we're looking for.
Would that be amenable to a continuance of this hearing, or he starts the process anew?
It may not even trigger anything. It may just help us determine if he complies or not. And if not, then there may be new information and a new order if there's, determined that other things may not be in compliance that we can't determine now. So that's really the necessity for having the site plan, but I don't foresee anything other than the canopies being an issue just due to the nature of the building itself.
What would be the divisions? I mean, if assuming the site plan is something that comes in as you would expect it, would the division be in favor of a variance? Would they have objections?
I don't think we'd have objections, but to Mr. Beegan's point, there's some other agencies that may have a say in the approvals or the setbacks or the ODOT approvals. That's outside of our scope, really.
Okay. Neil, Chip, comments or questions of either Jeff or Randy?
I do have a question. So there's not 4 issues on the adjudication order right now, Jeff?
No, sir, other than what's currently before the board today.
Just the site plan.
Correct.
No, Mr. Chair, I would support upholding the adjudication.
In lieu of continuing the matter?
Yes, I mean, I don't, if the issue before us is whether or not there should be a site plan required, and I mean, the board is of the opinion that we should follow the building code, then I think either it's withdrawn or we uphold it and move forward. Or continue it based on, does the site plan, once it's reviewed by Jeff's department, necessitate a variance from something else? I mean, I don't want to prognosticate, but I don't know.
Mr. Chair, I had one question from a point of order. Mr. Breach mentioned representing another owner. Since these are condominiums, from a notice standpoint, should there be legal notice sent to those other owners that we're making decisions that affect their properties?
So he's appearing on behalf of Mr. Davies or Davis, right? Davis.
Not to muddy the waters, but just want to make sure.
No, but that's a good point. So who owns the condominium fee in this case, Mr. Breach?
The condominium on level 3 is currently owned by Jerry and Lenny Davis. That is per the contract drawn up through the court system here locally. And we, at this time, we still own the condo on the 2nd floor. It's still under construction.
Okay, but who's we?
That would be my business partner and I, our LLC.
Okay. And an LLC? Okay.
Yeah, he's the contractor, and I'm the engineer, and we've been remodeling buildings in Gallup-Police quite a bit, and just trying to do everything we can. And when we do any of these projects, we do get the local historic board involved.
So is Jerry and Lenny Davis in contract with your LLC as it relates to the 033 case?
They, I guess you would say, they own the property as far as the paper courthouse at this time, but they wanted me to represent them on this because they have no idea about any of these things and what's going on. They just know that they completed the purchase a year ago and have lived in facilities since then. And the attorney here in Gallup-Police drew up the paperwork for the condominium association, so on and so forth. We had all that handled in at the Dade County Courthouse so that
Right.
they.
Also, I mean, the point here, the point I'm making, and maybe Chip has a thought on this as well, putting on his law license hat, but unless the law has changed, a contract purchaser of real estate in Ohio becomes an equitable owner of the property. And then Mr. Eaton asked as a point of clarification as to whether or not the Davises, if they are in fact contract purchasers in the first case, should be given notice of this hearing. It sounds like you have their proxy as it relates to the second case and the first case, or am I incorrect about that?
Theirs is whichever the case is for the condominium 3A that's under their names. I have their proxy, excuse me, for that. They won since I was the one they worked with during, and they actually paid our LLC for said property and the improvements there too.
All right, let me stop you there. let me try to get my arms around this. So, would the board members have the same thought and sentiments as it relates to the second case as to the first case? And before I ask that of the board members, let me ask Jeff.
The second case, the 21-0032 case, that was the adjudication order from our initial field order to submit plans, which obviously Mr. Breach has done under the 0033 case. So our legal staff are in the process of terminating the order for 21-0032.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. So I guess members of the board, we have to, if we were to continue this, we'd probably perhaps want to give the Davises notice of the next hearing. It's probably water over the dam if we were to deliberate and uphold the adjudication order, because they apparently have not been served. Unless, Susan, have they been served with notice of today's hearing?
They were not served on BDA case number 21-0033, which is the plan review order. They were not. Only JBRB Lafayette Partners LLC were notified of this case. That's what was on the documents as the owner.
If we were to continue the hearing, though, on 033, you could serve the Davises.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
Yes.
Chip, that's one option, but I'll defer to my colleagues as to what you want to do.
Just so you know, they did get served. Certified letter was sent to them from one of the legal representatives there, and that's the one he dropped on my desk and said, "Here, please handle this for me."
Okay. Well, is that 033 or 032? If you have it.
Okay. 032 JBRB Lafayette Partners, our LLC. That's 0033. And then they must have been 0032. I've got so much paperwork on this that, yes, they are 21-0032. Jerry and Lenny Davis, 1026 First Avenue, Gallipolis, Ohio.
Okay.
They were served notice of the hearing.
But they were served with 032, and Jeff's office is in the process of terminating that, correct?
Yes, sir.
What they haven't been served is with 033, apparently,
Correct.
per Susan, right?
Correct.
Correct.
This came from certified mail from Don Everson, Legal Administrative Assistant, Department of Commerce, Division Industrial Compliance.
Okay.
Sent March 12th.
Correct,
Yes.
but that's on the field order.
Correct. The 0032 order.
Okay,
It's the other case.
I have this notice of hearing also directed to them, Jerry Lennon Davis. Notice of hearing,
That's for the other case. That's the 3-3 case.
yeah. So they are 3-2, and my partner and I are 3-3. So however we want to proceed.
Yeah, 0032 is the general, please submit plans for the work. And that goes away with the plan submittal, but 0033's case are the specific items of non-compliance as a result of the plan review. And that affects the condominium that we have another owner involved. That was my only question.
Well, Mr. Chair, I mean, here's what I would say is, let's at least discuss these items. We could do a straw poll and then, then we can continue it. If they want to write a letter, to say that they don't want to be there and we're okay with Mr. Breach representing them, I think that would be fine. But I think it's probably worthwhile still to get through these items today on the bigger building as a whole.
I'm sorry. Carl has been, has had to leave the meeting. He lost internet connection. So if we can take a break for a minute.
Yeah, I'm on, but I heard Paul.
Yeah, he's on my cell phone, so he can hear. He's just not within the meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're going to have to call our IT people because this says our internet connection at the office is out. It even knocked Catherine out, just on her email. So that could be a mess.
Okay, let's Nick, let's go off record and we'll take a brief pause here until we can establish connection. I apologize to everybody waiting.
Thank you. All right.
Paul? Paul,
Yes.
if his internet's down at his law firm, and they can't get it up in a couple minutes, should we suggest he just calls?
I think if he calls in, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, and just uses the phone and you want to take over. The other thing is, it doesn't look like it, my screen shows loading preview. It's like, we're not going to be able to get any documents or individuals within the viewing screen on my end.
I'm not having any problems.
Do you, where the red box is, does it say loading preview, or is that just me?
Yeah, it's just you.
We had that last time. Or,
Yeah.
okay, so you've got the controls. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna get
You
Carl.
fixed it for him.
Carl,
Yeah.
you're back on.
Yeah, all right, let me see, can I call in on the line?
You're on.
Oh, I'm back on? I am. Okay, I'm back, all right, thank you.
You are gonna have to buy that young woman lunch now, Carl.
I know, I'm back on. It said, but she got knocked out on her email, and one of my other lawyers came, and he's in a Zoom deposition, and he got knocked out. So it's obviously with our law firm, but I'm back on.
You gotta pay the bill.
Yeah, did you pay your Spectrum bill?
All right, so is Mr. Breach still there?
Yes.
And is Mr. Eaton still there? Yeah, I see Jeff. Okay, I don't see, I'm where my screen is. Okay.
Neil is gone.
And Neil is gone. He wasn't supposed to leave till 2. He's gone, you mean he's not? I gotta get that fixed so I can see the room. Okay. All right. So we'll, Nick, we'll stand down for a minute until Neil returns.
Neil is back.
Okay. Let's go back on the record, Nick. Got the nod. We're back on the record. Okay, I had called back in. Paul, how did we end that session before we took the break?
I had just been discussing that I thought it would be best to let's go through these issues. They're building-wide issues, at least to discuss, and we can hold a vote after we would continue, so that we made sure that we had proper notice to the other condominium owner. Honestly, you know, they were supposed to be here for the other case, and they had let Mr. Breach represent them on that case as well too. So my guess, it's going to be the same thing anyways down the road. We just want to make sure that we got all of our bases covered. So again, I think it's worthwhile hearing the rest of the items, having that discussion, possibly even deliberating and holding our vote until a continued time.
Mr. Breach, do you understand what Mr. Began just indicated?
Yes,
Okay, are you comfortable with that?
yes, I would like to at least get some of the discussion out of the way if possible. And if this results in me needing to get a legal document from the Davises and run through a notary or something, that I do represent their best interests. They're close friends of mine, so I can get you whatever you need in that respect, if that's helpful, even at a later date, whatever.
Okay, we can get some of this discussion out of the way. I'll let you make your record.
Okay. So, as far as the site plan goes, I think I know what I need to do on that. I have no problem with doing that. So as we move on, item 12 on the correction letter involved emergency escape in a couple of the bedrooms. In both of these condos, they have direct access to a stairwell, a elevator, and then in the case of the second floor condominium, the bedrooms, I think, is what Mr. Berg had an issue with. We did several windows, including in one of those bedrooms directly, that opened the window, and there is a roof outside from which escape is available. And these units are fully sprinkled and fire alarmed. So his concerns about emergency escape from a couple of the bedrooms, I don't, since these are residential units, we're not, I don't see as there should be a problem, since they're sprinkled and they do have other ways to get out of any of the possible fire areas. That's item 2 of the 4 that I requested to discuss today.
Okay, questions of Mr. Breach at this point in light of the comments he just made?
What about the third floor? You mentioned the second floor.
Yes, both the second and third floor, throughout the condo areas and throughout the stairwells, everything's covered by sprinklers. We have not sprinkled the remaining roughly 3,300 square feet on each floor until we have a buyer. And as I have found out from these 2 condos, I have about 400 or 500 different documents that I've been involved with changes made at every turn by the condo owners. But at all times, I brought them back into realizing we do still have to meet some basic life safety issues, and they did agree to those. But yeah, the both floors, when they are full of condos, be it 2 small or 1 large on each of these levels to finish those out, everything is to be sprinkled. So and everything is right now to effectively get these folks out of the building with at least 2 ways out under sprinkler protections.
So your one of your means of egress out of the second floor was to go out onto the roof of the first floor canopy or whatnot. What about the third floor, or am I misunderstanding?
This floor plan we have up right now, that is the plan. And I think Mr. Berg's issues were there was no windows or any way to get out of those 2 bedrooms in the event of an emergency. Well, actually, there is one window, as you can see there on one of those 2 bedrooms in the top left. The other one does not have a window, but any of those other windows, when you step out, you know, you're 3 feet from the roof, all the way around the back of that building. And just in case that would be necessary for some reason, even with the sprinkler protection. So the 3rd floor, they have a way out onto a roof that also leads up to the overall roof of the entire building. So, you know, in addition to all the other things that we should have, we do have an access in an absolute emergency and all systems fail, but we got to get away from this fire, let's say. They do have those within, you know, 15 to 20 feet of just about anywhere inside there. They would have easy access. As you can see on the 2nd floor, most is one big open room with several windows into it. And then they have direct access to the stairwell there. And then by going through the front part of the condo, that's where you can get out a door that gets you into a corridor that is also sprinkled. Those windows too, in an absolute emergency, could get you onto the roof 3 feet below the window sill. I think we've got all of our bases covered there.
Any further questions of Mr. Breach?
Yeah, I guess I understand that the bedrooms in a group R3 need to have an exterior emergency escape and rescue opening. I think that's what we're talking about. And the 2nd bedroom does not. Other than it opens up the room.
Does not have a window in it, but the other ones have various ways out of including that other bedroom right below that one having a window to the roof below. And with the fire alarm system, the smoke detectors and throughout, and the whole building is tied into this, every floor is tied into this fire alarm system, as is the carbon monoxide detectors and so on and so forth. But I think, to me, I don't see that there should be an issue. There is a sprinkler head in the middle of each of those 2 bedrooms, and of course the only real combustibles in this situation would be the wood studs. Everything has X gypsum on it. Since we used wood studs, we used the X gypsum. We kind of went the extra mile, we think, to make this a safe structure. Unless you gentlemen are seeing something here that I'm missing, I think obviously they would not, if we had a fire recall in the elevator, that wouldn't be accessible, but they have the stairway that takes them all the way down to the front way out of the building. And Gerald had me send him a drawing of all the different egress paths to take for people from both of these levels, and I don't think he had an issue with that. His comment was just concerned that there was not a window leading perhaps to that roof on that 2nd bedroom, and if indeed that is the only thing holding us back here, we could add a window if that's the big issue.
I have a question. So on the 2nd floor, the issue is with the 3rd bedroom because it has no emergency escape, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And
the
the
fourth,
second too.
I'm sorry?
And the second bedroom too. It's 2 bedrooms.
Well, he had it, but I think
Well,
he knows.
in the second bedroom, but in the fourth bedroom, escapes to the roof below, correct?
Yes.
And on the third floor, there are no issues with any of the bedrooms?
For all the bedrooms are not isolated. Those bedrooms in the front section of the building. So we don't have the same scenario. Those are like right in the middle of the condo, very close to the exit door out to the elevator. And then they also have access to that same enclosed stairwell that goes all the way down to the first floor and out the front double doors of the building.
And you're talking the third floor plan, correct?
Yes, what I'm looking at right now is the second floor plan. The
Right,
third floor plan,
I have the third floor plan pulled up on mine.
okay. You see those double doors on the left-hand side of the enclosed condominium?
Yes.
Okay, that is a of the second floor. What that originally was the second floor ballroom of this hotel, and so the roof of that ballroom on the second floor is the roof that actually it is just a 6-inch step down from those double doors, and you are on that roof. The other stairs you see off to the side is just for us to be able to get maintenance access up on the roof on that end of the building. We have another way of getting to that too. We have one from each end of the building. So that's something we put in for construction, and the owner wanted us to leave that there. Just, I think they felt better knowing that if something happened, they could actually get up on top of the roof and go clear to the other end of our building on a different street if they wanted to. But that's, I guess, neither here nor there. But the bedrooms are on that third one. You have one the corner of 2nd Avenue and Court Street, and it has access out to the balcony also. And then the other bedroom, which she is calling, let's see, the guest bedroom is right beside that first bedroom. And so those are both easy egress to the main door, or you have 2 ways of balconies if they had to have an area of rescue for the fire department to grab them from in the absolute worst case or whatever.
Is that it, Neil?
Excuse me?
Any other questions, Neil?
I do have a question, Mr. Chair. This is Paul Began. I would like to know what the hardship is. Why can't you put another window in that bedroom that has no windows in it, and turn the game room into the bedroom so that it has windows in it? I mean, what's the hardship? I don't see any reason why you can't comply with it.
If that is indeed all it takes, we will comply with it. I was afraid Jerry was a little unclear to me on just how far he was taking this means of egress from the bedrooms. If that is, we can put a window in it. That is not a problem. So that issue would go away if that's all there is to that situation.
Mr. Chair, I may be able to weigh in and clarify that a little bit.
Please do. I didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves before we heard from you anyway, so this is a good segue.
Section 1030 in the building code regarding egress windows, it takes you to table 1006.3.2 parentheses 1. And then footnote A, and this is an R2 occupancy, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Mr. Breach, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Correct.
Mr. Breach?
Yeah.
It's shared egress, so it's R2. Footnote A in that table for R2 occupancies requires suppression and emergency egress and rescue openings in the bedrooms, both for floors 1, 2, and 3. Once you get 4 stories, then they're not required. So Mr. Berg's adjudication order item was pointing to that section that you need both suppression and an egress window up to the 4th floor for sleeping rooms. So that's where that's coming from.
Understand, Mr. Breach?
Yes, and we will put a window in to take care of that.
And I think that this second floor just need, I mean, again, it can be easily reconfigured, move the bedroom to where the game room is and vice versa. I think that's, again, seems like an easy solution. I don't necessarily see a hardship for why we would need to change, you know, give you a variance for an item that can be complied with.
We have other buildings in town, new buildings that we did not have to have windows in that were put in 4 years ago, and I guess once you sprinkler a building, I don't understand still the need for that window, but I'm not the guy that does the code. So if that's what makes everybody happy, we filled in a bad section of the brick there. We can knock that back out since it already had a header, and we'll put a window in.
I think we should go to the other item, but before we do that, I do want to point out, I do think you're going to have some issues down the road. Right now, you have some unoccupied space. I assume that's your condo 3 or 3 and 4 that you're eventually going to build out there. There is no access to a stair near the elevator. So right now, somebody could come up to the 2nd floor, get off the elevator, and be trapped. They have no access to a stair. I just want to point, it's not on the order yet. And this is 2nd and 3rd floor, both of those spaces. But I do see that as being an issue. So right now, if you just look at the condo unit itself, it doesn't need more than 1 means of egress, and it's showing that. However, there is a public space outside the elevator that is basically a man trap without any access to an egress stair.
Okay. Actually, if you look on this drawing, fully over on the left side, you see another enclosed stairwell that's existing.
Yeah, but there's no rated corridor to get to it.
Need what now?
There is no rated corridor to get to it.
No, but we did install, we went ahead and pre-installed where a corridor would probably go. The sprinkler system is already in place. It already goes, it follows across from the lobby area you're talking about, and that is all open space. Now, you're right, there's no fire-rated corridor, but once you get to those stairs, then you do have a sprinkler-protected stairwell that takes you down to the 1st floor.
But what happens when you build a condo in there?
Well, the hallway would actually be just below that stairwell, so that would be open all the way across and would tie into the hallway leading around to the elevator, so that those people could also get over there from the elevator. It just hasn't been done yet. The gentleman who's doing this 2nd floor condo is considering purchasing the rest of this floor and possibly the other part of it. He was the last owner of this building before we bought it, and so that may end up being a whole different scenario. But assuming this sells as a regular condo, that will be extended corridor. Sprinklers are already hanging down right in the middle of a 4-foot 3-inch wide corridor of future, and that will be available. So they will have 2 stairwells, one for each section of that floor, and then the elevator to get up and down on, and everything on that floor will be sprinkled, including a fire closed hallway. We just don't know how to lay that out yet. Both of these were customized very much so. They're nothing like the original way we envisioned putting this up, and but we did think ahead enough while they were putting the sprinklers in to go ahead and take that all the way over, so they do have some protection. And at this time, we will probably have more condominiums this year. We're in discussions with both this gentleman and 2 other parties, and yes, part of that plan would include making that corridor so anybody on that level could use the elevator and have stairwell close by.
I just wanted to point it out. I see it as an issue, and then you'd have to go back and code calculate that each floor would only need 1 means of egress, and exit access travel distance, because that is quite a distance away from the elevator. Again, I just bring it up as a point, as an architect on the board, looking at other issues that may present a problem, and again, part of the reason why I thought about it is you could take that interior bedroom that's closed and open it to a corridor. That's a public corridor. However, there is no public corridor right now. So that would satisfy the means of egress if you put a door in that bedroom that went out to the corridor that got you to a stair. Right now, it doesn't.
Right. Yeah, right now you would have to go through the door I am showing, and that's, like I said, it's all empty space except for the steel original building columns, and get to that stairway. But that we will plan on seeing what happens. If this gentleman purchases the whole thing to where he owns that entire floor, which then yeah, I'll have to deal with that's going to be a whole different type of scenario too. And but we fully understand that we need to have access to the elevator for everybody. We need to have everything fire, and that is all within our plan. So that is a good point, but yeah, I realize that we will have to do that at least when the time comes.
Let's move on to item 16 on the arc fault. Every other residential project in the state of Ohio, R2, is following the code. Can you tell us why you think that you shouldn't have to?
I don't know if any of these have gotten to the Board of Appeals before, but my experience in the last 40 years of dealing with buildings, when they came out with these arc current circuit protection devices, they are causing a major headache to people. These devices trip when there's a power surge, and the rentals, these folks they're lost, and immediately causing calls to get to the owner on rentals and to fix whatever's wrong, and it's just a needlessly tripped circuit breaker. The cost of these devices is, especially these days, irreprehensible. I know it's a parent code thing, but I didn't know if you've heard anybody else complaining or asking for an appeal. I don't know why they have arc fault circuit breakers to start with, and I worked for AEP for 20 years, and it makes no sense except for the fact that the companies that are making great fortunes from selling these devices probably on the board that comes up with some of these codes. But in real life and owning many properties, that these have been a major headache. The only reason I brought it up, if you absolutely feel that it is a device that is worth spending 5 times a regular breaker cost on and having issues with it, especially these people will be owning these apartments, and they don't know what to do when a breaker trips. That's the only reason I brought it up. But if that can't be appealed, that can't be appealed. I'm just trying to make a point here. After 2,500 building permits and 40 years of involvement with construction, that is one of the dumbest electrical things I think I've ever seen. So I've said my part.
Okay. I understand. Let me ask the members of the board, what are we trying to accomplish here at this point? I told Mr. Breach he could make his record. We're talking about a lot of prospective things as opposed to what's in front of us. So Paul, where do you think we go from here? Chip, Neil, Brad?
That isn't an adjudication in front of us, the electric components.
I know that.
Okay, so.
I'd say if we can just talk really quickly about the last item number 18 on the adjudication order regarding the mechanical system. At least we could have that discussion. I think it's up to you, Mr. Chair, if you wanted to take any type of a straw poll of the board so that Mr. Breach has some understanding of where we would most likely end up, although
Okay.
not a certainty.
Are you saying ahead of the discussion on item 18?
No. Let's. I think let's do real quick on item 18. It looks like there's a couple areas that are not served by Windows or HVAC systems. So maybe Mr. Breach could let us know why that is and.
Well, the reason I'm asking on that is, and I'm starting to try to use these in commercial spaces too with some luck, but since I did a thesis on HVAC as part of my mechanical engineering background, I am seeing some of these mini split heat pumps with seasonal energy efficiency ratings of around 30, which is, twice what you normally see. The vendor started with Mitsubishi and it's spread to most of the vendors. We've used Mitsubishi and we've used Bryant and Trane, but these are these units, and some of you may be familiar with them, some may not, but they involve putting a air handler in each room, either in the ceiling or the upper wall. This unit, all it has to it is enough electrical to run the fan, and then this unit talks to the outdoor heat pump. And so you, for residences especially, I think this is the answer to our high electric rates, is to go with these super efficient systems. Every room is temperature and humidity controlled, and it will kick on that air handler device as necessary to maintain whatever temperature and humidity level you want. Each room has its own thermostat, so you're not wasting the a common split system where you're blowing a whole bunch of air all over the place. You are just supplying the air at the temperature and humidity level of what you need for that particular room. They even have remote controls on these things, so you can change it while you're watching television. And no, they do not have a way of easily hooking up air, but on residences, I don't know how much discussion there has been in the code community, but I hope they're starting to recognize that in areas where you don't have great gatherings of people, and especially in areas like ours that has relatively clean outside air, this could greatly change our carbon impact on our environment. And I personally have one in my home, and I have used them in a few commercial, like I say, and on residential use, I personally, as a mechanical engineering side of me, I'm thinking, why would we do anything else unless you are gathering large amounts of people, like during COVID, where you don't even want to share air if you don't have to, and this would certainly help prevent that. But yes, we could put somewhere a hole in a wall, and we could put something to feed a little bit of makeup air in here, but from what I've seen, these are the perfect solution to our future. And even though the code, mechanical code, that definitely addresses outside makeup air, I understand that, but the occasional opening of windows, even if you don't have one in that particular room, I think we're doing fine with any air quality issues in that residential unit. Would I use it on most commercial things? No. Some commercial and all residential. I do a lot of drug rehab centers, and that's what we've gone to in them, and with great success and no problems. So just bringing that forward.
Let's hear from
condo setup. That's why I'm bringing it before the board.
Hey, Carl, I have are these systems you're speaking about, are you referring to like a VRF system?
Yes.
Okay.
The latest version of these systems are good to 20 below zero, and they still, well, just to give you an idea, condo 3A that you see there, their electric bill, they have 3 meters because of the way the building's set up, and their electric bill this winter never got above $120, and that's on 3,300, I think, square feet. And they are at the top of the building, which helps a little bit with the heat situation, but still, I would like to see the state and the code in general become friendly towards these type systems in certain situations, because obviously we all know what's going on with the electric grid, and companies like AEP, who my former employer and with which my son is my brother-in-law engineer, and depending on his job, and even he's saying the same thing. He doesn't know where we're going to be in 10 to 20 years if we don't start taking advantage of everything possible. And to me, this just really makes sense. And if you ever have one of these, you're going to love it. I can tell you that. And you could do a whole house on $8,000 to $9,000 because you don't have all that ugly ductwork and so forth. So that's what's behind this.
But
Mr. Eaton, go ahead.
I was going to say, isn't there a way to bring outside air in through these VRF systems?
If need be, we can put in, most recently I did an office building that used one of these, and then we just put in, because the occupancy was relatively low, we put in a through the wall unit that then ducted into each room. Now, if ducting one of those into each room is absolutely the only way you would regard us using these systems, then we can look at that and figure that out. But at least you've heard my story and where I think we need to head in this direction, especially as Columbia Gas now is charging, as AEP is, more for delivery fees than making the product of gas and electric by about 4 to 1. So anything we can do along these lines really helps. So.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Eaton, any comments on item 18?
That was the issue we had, was the lack of outdoor air. I know these package systems condition spaces, but there was no ventilation air. So if they can either gain that through operable windows through natural means or mechanically, then they would comply.
Okay. Now let's go to this. Let's go to a straw poll, if you will, of where the members are at this point in time, based on the adjudication order.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Paul Began, I don't mind going first. I understand the appellants wanting to do certain things and, cost for other things. I don't see any real hardships to conform. Yes, they have to spend a few more dollars, but I don't see any reason why that this project should have any special need for variances. So if we were to vote, I would probably move to uphold all those items on the adjudication order.
Okay, thank you. Chip?
Well, I will admit, I'm not an electrician or an electrical engineer, so I'm not sure what the arc fault, the impact of that, so I can't opine on that. But in terms of the site plan and the fresh air, I would vote to uphold those. I'm not, there's too many. Well, number one, we don't have any letter from the fire official with respect to egress or anything like that. And with the fact that there are still unanswered plans or questions with respect to the additional spaces, I'm not in support of a variance on the egress issues at this point.
Okay. Brad?
Yeah, I would uphold the adjudication for all of them. We went one by one here, and Mr. Breach basically said that he could comply with every one of these. So it seemed more like, yeah, I didn't see the hardship either. So
And Neil?
that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I would move to uphold, especially on the site plan. The elected number 6, item 16 and item 18, more so item 18. I would like a little more information on the type of systems they're planning to use, because I'm not 100% sure on the system he's referencing. We put a lot of these systems in, and I know there's a lot of them do have access to outside air. So I think there's probably a fairly easy solution, item 18, but currently, as the information that's been presented to me, and as Chip stated, the lack of no fire official in regards to egress matters, at this time I would vote to uphold.
Okay, we've gone about 70 minutes, probably to that point in this hearing where we've got to cross that threshold. Mr. Breach, anything further to add for purposes of this record?
I don't believe so, but just one comment I would like to make to the board in general. As you are, I'm sure, aware, every month the costs of construction are going through the roof with weekly price increases. And I hope that as we make some of our decisions, I know you always talk about an economic hardship, and just during the time we've been constructing this second condominium, on average, materials have doubled in price. And I realize up in the Columbus area, things cost what they cost, but down our way, I don't see us moving forward without me asking for some appeal on almost everybody I get involved with, because these people get these things going, and then they find out either materials aren't available, or if they can get them, they are, at this time, lumber is 3 to 4 times what it was pre-COVID. And so it's not like I'm trying to get out of anything or my time making a site plan. It's that I would hope, that we do understand what's going on with probably within a year, this construction industry is going to see things that it's never seen before. Our local economy is being significantly affected, and we're about the last ones in my area willing to go in and try to do something with buildings, even with this excessive cost. But in no way am I trying to be lazy or just trying to pinch a penny or something. I'm just looking for I guess the fire official thing that hurts us, because I know the gentleman would love to say that he's very happy with this. He too is a friend of mine, but still has not had his training completed, and so We are still without a fire official. I did not ask him for some reason. We have none at this point. That's Southeast Ohio. We're fighting this whole thing, and just be glad when it's over, because it has hurt us as bad as anybody else in the country, I'm sure. But thanks for listening.
Yeah, Mr. Eaton, anything from the division further?
No, sir, thank you. We will need to get the other owner's information and address, but I can get that from Mr. Breach on the next notice if this is continued, and get that to Susan.
Well, I was going to entertain a motion, which could be a motion to continue, or it could be a motion to apparently uphold the adjudication order. What says the board?
I would say, Mr. Chair, let's do a motion to continue just so that we have proper notice. What I would not want to happen is for us to make a motion and vote at this time, and then have the other owner have a concern that they were not there to say what they needed to say, as this does affect their property. So
I think that there's a logic to that. I'm in favor of that. Neil, Brad, Chip, would you be in favor of continuing this?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
I
for
would-
that reason.
Okay, I would entertain a motion now then.
Mr. Chair, for Board of Building Appeals, case numbers 21-0033 and 21-0032, I move to continue both cases.
Okay, both cases are going to be continued, notwithstanding, I'll take a vote on that, but Jeff Eaton, that doesn't complicate things on your end, since you were planning to terminate the 032?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay, motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, Mr. Breach, the matter's going to be continued. You can work with Susan and Jeff, for that matter, if you need to get on the docket sooner rather than later. There, obviously there are some things that you need to do to get with the division, but we stand adjourned as to both cases, 21-0033 and 21-0032. We have gone over an hour. We're going to let's give Nick a break, ourselves just a short break, and we'll call the Hillsborough case. And Neil, you're going to be hiatus the rest of the afternoon, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I'll get waivers from the parties then. Okay, Nick, we're off record.
All right. See you guys.
Bye, Neil.
See you, Neil.
Are we taking 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
Let's just take 5, if you can. Let's try to take 5.
Excellent.
I believe everyone's back, Carl.
Okay, thank you. Lose me here. I'll get about here, I think. Oh, no.
This,
Oh, what happened? Hold on, guys. Sorry.
Carl, you look different.
I know.
Much better too.
Yes, I have to say, much better looking.
I was trying to get this thing reformatted so I could see people at the bottom.
but now we can't see you.
All right, so hold on. Where's my camera? Here, that's up right in it. All right.
It keeps moving.
Bear with us. There we go. Thanks. Okay, Nick, you're back? Yep, you're back. Thank you for the indulgence. We ran a little bit over, obviously considerably over on that first hearing. This is case number 21-0026. This also is a Division of Industrial Compliance case, and it deals with the premises located at 4285 Caleb, CALEB Hill Road in Hillsborough, and the division's adjudication number is noted on the docket. Let's have an introduction. I know Mr. Kaiser's on the hearing because at the outset of the hearing we determined that. But let's have an introduction beginning with Mr. Kaiser on behalf of the appellants. Each person who is appearing on behalf of the appellants, state your full name and spell your last name, and then the capacity by which you're here. We'll do the same thing with Mr. Eaton of the division. We'll have an oath administered, and then I'll get a waiver to proceed in front of a board of 4 instead of a board of 5 because Mr. Gehring had to leave us at this point in time this afternoon due to a scheduling conflict. So, Mr. Kaiser, go ahead and enter your appearance, please. They're not there, Susan?
He is in by phone. He needs to hit *6 to unmute his phone.
All right, let's do this. I see Larry Weldon and I see Adam Carr. Let's start with Mr. Carr. Why don't you unmute, enter your appearance, spell your state your name and spell your last name and the capacity by which you're here representing the appellant.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Adam Carr. That's A-D-A-M, last name C-A-R-R. And I'm here representing the nonprofit Save a Warrior, and I'm their executive director.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wendland. You just froze, I think. We just lost him. Jeez. This is a tough day here. It is, go ahead. Is Ken Grofsky present? Hello?
My name's Larry Wendling, spelled L-A-R-R-Y-W-E-N-D-L-I-N-G, and I'm a board member with Save a Warrior.
Thank you. And then do we have Mr. Grotsky and Mr. Kaiser or Keiser? They were on the phone earlier, right? They called in.
Mr. Kaiser still looks like he's here. His phone is muted. He needs to hit *6 on his phone in order to unmute if he can hear me. I'll try to email him as well.
Is he the 738 number?
Correct. And I'm not sure who the 5549285 is.
Could you identify yourself, and maybe for another hearing? 614-554-9285. All right.
Okay.
We're having trouble getting to first base here on these hearings today.
If we can't get Dan, would I be able to possibly call him and then just set the phone right over here next to my speaker so you guys could hear him? Is that
Right, he was on, and he was on at the outset of our hearing at 12:30.
Yeah, I know.
He may be on, he may need to unmute, which is *6 on your phone.
Okay.
He just did. He just did. Did you just done? No, now I lost him. I don't see him. Mr. Carr, do you want to just call him?
I'll do that right now.
Okay. We'll stand down for a minute.
I have sent him an email as well.
Okay, while we're in stand down mode, let me just do a roll call here with respect to the Groveport case for TriTech Laboratories. Do we have Delos Morrison present? Do we have Brian Downing present? Brian Downing, I mean. Downey? Sherry Scholl?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Mark Huffnagel? Mr. Moore, are you present?
Yes, I am.
Marshall Height?
He is not. My name is Bill Carroll. I am a certified state fire marshal.
Okay.
Standing in for him.
Thank you. Ms. Scholl, do you have any idea where Delos Morrison and Brian Downey are?
No, I do not.
Mr. Chairman, this is Stephen Moore. The three people from KDC were supposed to be meeting in one office and come on together, so that might be why you aren't getting any of them to say they're there.
Okay.
We should say, Mr. Chair, too, that I do see we have 4 attendees that are only viewing online, which means that they are not connected as a presenter. In that case, if you are unable to interact, all you can do is watch and listen. We invite you to call into the number that was provided to you by our board secretary, Ms. Steer.
Okay.
This is Dan Kaiser. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. How are you appearing? Are you by phone now or?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. So
yes.
you might need. Go ahead.
I have Ken Grotsky sitting with me here.
Great. Okay. So we have.
Well.
All right. So we have the parties that are necessary for the Hillsborough case. So we'll go ahead. With Mr. Carr has already entered his appearance and stated his representative capacity here with the nonprofit. Mr. Wedling has done the same thing as a board member for the nonprofit. Mr. Kaiser and Mr. Grotsky, would you enter your appearances? State your full name, spell your last name for the record, and the capacity by which you're here representing the appellant.
Yeah, my name is Dan Kaiser. Last name is spelled Keiser, and I'm the principal architect of Kaiser Design Group.
And I am Ken. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I am Ken Grotsky, Grotsky, and I'm the senior project manager on the project for Kaiser Design Group.
Okay, Mr. Eaton, would you enter your appearance, please?
Jeff Eaton, E-A-T-O-N, Chief Building Official for the Division of Industrial Compliance.
Okay.
We also have Mr. Carr as well, too.
Mr. Carr, he already entered his appearance?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, he did. Okay, gentlemen, that's all of you. If you would stand, raise your right hand. Nick, would you administer the oath, please?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay, before we get started, we're by statute a board of 5. And our first hearing, we did have a board of 5, but our pipe fitter member, Mr. Neil Gehring, had to leave due to a scheduling conflict. You would have the right to appear in front of a board of 5 if you chose to. But Mr. Kaiser, are you willing to proceed in front of a board of 4 here today?
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Eaton, any objection to proceeding in front of a board of 4?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kaiser, you have the floor.
Okay, great. Thank you. I did just get an email from Susan asking if we had submitted drawings. We tabled last month and we submitted at that time. So is there familiarity enough with the project to go on, or should we submit a plan?
I'll defer to my colleagues.
I don't have any of the plans since it was continued. We don't have those in our files. I was not able to see any plans. It would be good to understand the space, right? Because we're talking about maybe not doing sprinklers in this building. I don't know what else is in the building and how big it is. And I know they're saying they have extra egress doors and stuff like that. That's hard to visualize. So I would like to see some drawings. I don't know if it's something that can be sent out relatively quickly, or if you know, we should continue. I don't know.
Yeah, Ken just left the room to go forward a plan to Susan.
Mr. Chair, I might be able to pull those up in our database and share my screen if that would help.
That would be ideal, Jeff.
Give me 1 second.
If you can pull that off. And I don't dare click on Paul's desktop that he pulled up, just because I'm afraid to knock myself out again. But what was it you had up that said?
Just their appeal document that they sent earlier today.
Yeah, it was too small for me to really visualize. I didn't want to click on it. So.
While Ken is sending those drawings to Susan, would it be okay if Adam Carr gave you just a brief overview of what Save a Warrior is and what the property that we're talking about is, how it will function?
Yeah, please do, and you know, we'll defer to you on how you want to present for the most part here. And Mr. Carr, if you want to lead off while some of the other things are trailing, please do. That would require unmuting.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so just a brief background about Save a Warrior. If you haven't heard about us, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. Registered as the Warrior Meditation Foundation. We do business as Save a Warrior. We've been around for 9 years. Started out in California and migrated our way here to Ohio. And we have a property here in Hillsborough, which we're discussing today, where we are building the current and future National Center of Excellence for Complex Post-Traumatic Stress. And this is something that we partnered with DAV, Disabled American Veterans, a very large nonprofit that has a lot of faith in what we do. And over the past 9 years, we've been known and we've become to be known as the organization to send warriors to in a peer-to-peer model. So we're a warrior-led organization. We work best in small groups, as stated in what Dan had sent up. We're doing this in groups of 8, groups of 9. Right now, I have stepped away, and I have one of my other men that are here in the project with me leading a cohort as we speak. We're on the 133rd cohort we've run as an organization. We've served over 1,400 people over the past 9 years. Just to throw out a couple names of organizations that trust us with men and women, trust us with their lives, because what's at stake is somebody that is coming to us that's in a suicidal state, that has tried traditional medical models, that has tried different types of medicine and the pharmacological approach. They've tried talk therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy, and they wind up, hey, Save a Warrior is the last house on the block. You know, we serve Columbus Fire, we serve Columbus PD. I've had conversations with Mayor Ginther, with Congressman Balderson, Congressman Stivers, with former Congressman Teaberry, with Senator Rob Portman, with Senator Sherrod Brown, and we have also gotten money from the state of Ohio in the budget. So the state has put their faith in this organization as an organization that does really, really good life-saving work. We've worked with FDNY, NYPD, firefighters, and police officers who have lost 300 people in an instant and have been searching for that healing for the last 18, 19, 20 years since those towers fell, and haven't been able to find it but anywhere but Save a Warrior. We've served Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, the man that was on the raid that killed Osama bin Laden came and sat in our seat and said this is the greatest thing he's ever experienced in his life. We're partnered with the Kyle family, if you're familiar with Chris Kyle, American sniper, you know, most legendary sniper that was a Navy SEAL. His father and his brother came and sat in the seat. We do this holistically. We offer a very powerful holistic alternative to the traditional therapeutic techniques, and we do it in a peer-to-peer model. We do it very intimately. We do it in small groups. So this new center, if you look at the plans, and I can't see if you have those drawn up or not, but I'll just talk about them. This is meant to be used as an intimate space. We designed this as COVID was going on and hitting this space in the world. So we designed this with the peace of mind that, hey, we have to safe social distance. And I see what's going on with vaccines right now. People are getting this with vaccines. I don't know what the next couple years looks like, but I do know that we need to be cognizant of that as an organization. We don't plan on having more than 30 people in this room at one time, because we're going to be running 2 cohorts at once. So we'll have 8 or 9 people in one classroom, 8 or 9 people in another classroom, and then they may come together in community to have a meal together. So again, we designed this so we could have safe social distancing. We also designed this so we had enough space. And we certainly designed this, and I'll let Dan speak to the methods of egress that we put in place and what solutions we believe are going to be the best solutions and the most efficient solutions for us to be able to serve more people. So hopefully that gives you kind of a good background and overview of what we do. We're a 72-hour program. That is just enough time to instill hope in a human being's heart and mind and set them on a path different than, hey, my best course of action is killing myself. And that's a beautiful way to do it. And I wish that each and every one of you had the ability to really see what I'm experiencing here, because it's miracles. We're seeing people that don't want to live anymore right in here, right now, downstairs in this home that I'm in, and we're changing their lives. And that's what transformation looked like. So I appreciate you hearing me out today.
Thank you very much. That's appreciated. Jeff, were you able to pull up anything, or Mr. Grodsky?
Yeah, we sent, Ken sent the email with 3 plan images to the group. That would be Susan and Jeff Eaton.
I just added a snippet as well to the chat, or I can share my screen, whatever's easier.
Probably share the screen.
If you could share your screen, Jeff, I could put it up for everybody.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, Mr. Kaiser, you have the floor.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Adam, as well. Are you looking at sheet A0-1?
That's right, you're on phone, aren't you?
It's the,
Yeah,
We're
it's the floor plan.
A01. A01.
Okay, great. So what you see there, this is the Center of Excellence. Just to orient you to the function of the building, on the left side of the screen are 2 classrooms with a corridor in between. The center section consists of a lobby and a dining hall, and the right portion of the floor plan is the infrastructure of that Center of Excellence. So it's the toilet rooms, the back of house, the commercial kitchen, etc. So that'll give you a little orientation to the floor plan. To give you a little summary of the Center of Excellence, we are use group A2. We're construction type 5B. Our allowable area is 6,000 square feet. Our actual area is 7,556 square feet. The approximate area of the fire area in the middle that consists of the lobby and the dining hall is a little under 4,100 square feet. The purpose
I should say, let me just stop you. I should say that I want you to continue, but we do have what you submitted to Susan earlier today that's dated today at 12:30, which was the presentation of your case in the event you were not going to be able to be live. But I just want to let you know we have that.
Okay, great. Excellent, excellent. So, you know, just under where I kind of left off there, the purpose of the assembly is kind of the summary of our appeal. Adam described how the building is being used. You know, there are 2 cohorts going on at one time with either warriors or first responders. There's usually 2 shepherds with each group of 8 that kind of navigate that 72 hours with those warriors. And then they do come into community in the dining hall. That is the purpose of this building. There is no, it's not a residence hall or anything. It is classroom and community space. A couple things came into play with the size of the space. There is a lot of different meditation type techniques that's used in the 72 hours. Sometimes in Hillsborough, Ohio, it gets inclement, whether it's in January or rain. And so a big piece of their 72 hours is a labyrinth. And there is a labyrinth sitting on the exterior of the building. But in inclement weather, we have the ability to place that labyrinth inside of the dining hall on the floor. And the intent on the floor finish is that it's there as a permanent finish on that floor, so they can use that during that time. Adam alluded to the fact that, you know, we wanted to have a lot of exit strategy in this building. You'll see 5 double door exits, both to the top of the sheet and the bottom of the sheet out of the dining hall. And what we're asking for, we do know that if we exceed 100 in our occupancy, which this building has the capability of doing, it's not the intent, but it does have that capability. We're seeking relief from that required sprinkler system due to a couple things. We tested the pressure out at the street. It's probably about a quarter mile off the street is where this sits. This Center of Excellence sits on a 20+ acre quarry lake, which is a beautiful setting for that building, but it is about a quarter mile off the road. The public utility, the public water there has a low pressure, and it would require us to kind of collect and store and pressurize into a sprinkler system. So from a hardship perspective of what is there as an available utility, that system is going to cost us about $250,000 to install. What we're asking for is to, in lieu of sprinklers, be able to install a monitored fire alarm system with detection in the facility at a cost of a little over $20,000. Larry Wendling, board member, had some really good interaction with Chief Turner, the fire chief down in that area. And Chief Turner was not willing to say that we don't need sprinklers, or he was not willing to kind of sign on the dotted line that he was in agreement with not having them. He was in favor of the fire alarm and detection system as an alternative.
Okay, well, let me just ask Mr. Eaton first before we take questions of Mr. Kaiser. What's the division's thoughts?
We're in full support of the project and the request. We have no objections with the alarm and detection, as Mr. Kaiser has mentioned.
Okay, questions of Mr. Kaiser by members of the board?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Paul Began. Question a little bit about the kitchen and the appliances you have in the kitchen, and if you're going to have a hood, a suppressed hood in there.
Yes, it is a full commercial kitchen. Part of the 72-hour experience is amazing food. So there is a chef on site. There is a full hood that is there, and with a suppression system. And we are working right now to come up with the appliance list. We have a design appliance list, but that will be submitted as part of the condition, having that final list.
I don't want to interrupt.
You indicated that Chief Turner wasn't going to sign off on the lack of the need for the sprinklers, but was had no objection, I guess it was, to the alternative. Do we have anything in writing from the chief on that? You say he wasn't going to sign on the dotted line, so presumably no.
This is Larry Wendling. He was not willing to sign anything because, again, sorry, I wasn't sure whether I had to do it live or by phone. Again, it's an issue of, I think he looked at it from an issue of liability, and there's a fire department or a fire division that's within a half a mile of this facility, but it's volunteer driven, volunteer staffed. And he fully understood that, asking to put a sprinkler system in, again, given the fact that the public water is Highland County, it's not a pressurized system. They have a 6-inch main that's a quarter mile away from our building. And so that really isn't a viable alternative for us to get our water supply. So our water supply would actually have to come out of the 22-acre lake. We would have to put a storage system in, pressurize that storage system, put backup generators in, and then install the sprinkler heads within the building. That's the reason why the cost for the building, or the cost for the sprinkler system and the request is close to $250,000. But he did understand that if we had more of an active monitoring system, that would help him out to rest assured that if there was a fire, there would be proper notice and proper reliance. The other thing that you need to consider is that we have first responders coming into our facility on a regular basis. And the first thing these people are trained to do is to look for the level of safety there. And we recognize that as an organization, and we recognize that as a care and a responsibility that we have to provide a safe facility for these individuals. And so with that, that's why we designed the facility the way we did with Kaiser, and we put the level of ingress and egress in place to allow for that. So hopefully you kind of understand that, and hopefully you understand the hardship that we're facing because of where this building is located and the cost, the extra cost that we would incur. Just from a reference standpoint, if we were asked to spend this additional $200 and some thousand to sprinkle the building. If we could avoid that and instead use that money for programming and taking care of participants, we could take care of an extra 63 individuals. Because right now we're running about $3,500 a person to take through the program. We could treat an extra 63 people to go through this facility, and go through this experience and save their lives versus putting a sprinkler system in.
Thank you. Questions of Mr. Wendling and or Mr. Kaiser by members of the board?
Yes, Mr. Chair, what is this labyrinth that you talk about moving into the dining hall if the weather turns south?
Yeah, that I didn't state that very well. There will be a labyrinth imprinted on the dining room floor. The labyrinth is kind of a flat maze, if you will. The one outside is gravel with larger rocks creating the path or lining the path. This would be simply imprinted on the floor finish where they could utilize that. So they're really not moving the labyrinth in and out, but they're moving the warriors in and out to utilize that labyrinth inside.
So this isn't a structure inside of a structure?
No, it is not. It's basically a footprint on the floor.
Okay.
And what it's used for is it's used for a really spiritual, reflective walk. And it's like walking through a maze, and it's in a circular area, and you walk through there basically in silence and be totally reflective and thinking about your life, thinking about events in your life, thinking about ways that you can try to come out of this feeling of the desire to commit suicide. And it's one of the key elements that we use in the programming, and you actually go through this walk, and it's very powerful, it's very spiritual, and the one outside, actually in the center, will have a fire ring that we'll use for the ceremony of the dead, and the fireplace inside this building will be used for the ceremony of the dead when we have inclement weather. But again, the main reason why this dining hall is the size that it is to be able to put that labyrinth in that floor.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Mr. Wendling and or Mr. Kaiser? Any questions of Mr. Eaton? Any thoughts or comments or sentiments that board members want to express at this time?
Mr. Chair, Paul Began, I just wanted to ask my colleagues, had some discussion about the fire official not wanting to put anything in writing. Would that be something that we would still want to ask him to do or not?
You wouldn't feel comfortable, would the board feel, probably wouldn't feel comfortable putting forth a motion with a condition that states, as a matter of fact, no objection from the fire official, right? I mean, I'm not sure what we heard in that regard. I mean, I think there's a comfort level with the alternative, but for liability reasons, the chief didn't want to put that in writing. I'd be fine with making that a condition. That's just one board member, though.
I'm fine with making it a condition. I mean, ultimately, it's this board that's granting the variance, not the local fire official. So,
Brad?
Yeah, I agree. It would be nice to have, a letter of no objection?
Right. So, Mr. Kaiser, that would mean that if we were to move forward here and grant the variance, one of the conditions would be a letter of no objection from the fire official, and the onus would be on you or your team to secure that letter, not on Mr. Eaton. Okay?
Yep, that's great. Understood.
Mr. Chair, if I could weigh in on that.
Yes, please.
In the event that, I have no problem doing that, but in the event the fire official would be reluctant to do that, that kind of puts the owner in a bind of not complying with the board's decision. if you cannot obtain that letter. So we've had that only happen on one other case, and it caused some issues long-term. Just an FYI. I don't know if it's something you can craft language. It says we'll make them aware, we'll forward the decision to the fire official, but to require that owner to get that, and then if the fire official doesn't want to issue it, I think it puts us in a spot. It's just my FYI.
No, I think that's, I hear you. But what do the other members think about that?
We could always do a reconsideration. I mean,
Come back to the board. I guess.
yeah. I mean,
Might
I
waive that condition the next time.
yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna, this is just my 2 cents, but I wouldn't hold up the project because the fire official's unwilling to sign the letter or sign a letter of no objection. It's not gonna change my sentiment on the overall variance, I guess is my point.
That would work. If they can't get it, then they can come back within 15 days and have you guys take another swing at it.
I think that's probably the route to go. Stay with the letter of no objection as an imposed requirement, and see what happens, Mr. Kaiser. If the chief gets reluctant at that point in time, you'd have a right to come back to the board. And you know, we haven't heard from Mr. Gehring because he's not part of this hearing today on this case. But my guess is if you appeared in front of a board of 5 the next time on reconsideration, he'd probably go along with his colleagues.
That sounds good. We can get that communication going with Chief Turner.
Paul, do you need any time?
I'm almost there, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Just give me a second and I will put them up on the screen.
Can I ask a question? Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yeah, you can. Who are you going to ask it of, though? Mr. Eaton. You can't ask Mr. Eaton questions. You'd have to relay those through me.
Well, what I'm unclear about is, because I'm the one that's most likely going to go back and talk to Chief Turner, is what will his letter say? What are you guys asking for the letter to say? Because that's going to be, he's a fire chief of a very small fire department.
He would have no objection. He would have no objection to the board's granting of the variance based on the conditions that were attached to the variance.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
And that way, we're not asking him to necessarily support it, but to say, hey, I'm okay with that. If the board went ahead and made that decision, I won't get in the way. That's basically what he's saying. Just allowing a pass rather than the actual letter of support that he just.
Okay.
It's not he's not going to take his shoe off and pound it on the table.
Understood. Thank you.
A la Khrushchev style. Okay. All right. When
I'm working on getting them up on the screen, Mr. Chair. So bear with me for a second here.
Okay, Mr. Kaiser, you're not going to have that ability, or are you going to have the ability to see what he puts on the screen?
Well, I will read through them as well, Mr. Chair. Okay, I finally got them up on the screen. This variance is conditioned on the following. Number 1, an alternate fire alarm system shall be installed and maintained, comprising of a remote annunciator at the front entrance, system smoke detectors with integral heat detectors throughout the entire structure, audible/visual devices throughout the entire structure, and pull stations at all identified means of egress. Number 2, an additional fire alarm notification device shall be placed on the exterior of the structure at the front entrance to the satisfaction of the building and fire officials. Number 3, the alternate fire alarm system shall be required to be off-premise monitored in a manner approved pursuant to OBC 901.6. Number 4, the alternate fire alarm system and off-premise monitoring shall be considered required systems and listed as such on the certificate of occupancy by the building official. Number 5, the alternate fire alarm system and off-premise monitoring shall be maintained as required systems utilizing the Ohio Fire Code and adopted NFPA standards. Number 6, portable fire extinguishers shall be installed according to the provisions of OBC 906 and to the satisfaction of the fire official, and shall be maintained as required by the Ohio Fire Code and adopted NFPA standards. Number 7, a type 1 exhaust hood with integral ANSEL suppression system shall be installed in the kitchen above all required cooking devices. Number 8, this variance is granted based on the use, construction, occupant load, building area, and level of activity identified on the approved construction documents, including the maintenance of all building systems and any conditions required herein. Number 9, a letter of no objection shall be submitted by the fire official to the Board of Building Appeals and the chief building official before the construction permit is issued. Number 10, the chief building official shall forward a copy of any certificate of occupancy to the fire department having either emergency response or fire prevention responsibility.
Okay, those are 10 proposed conditions. Mr. Kaiser, any questions regarding those? Need for any clarification? And if not, what's your comfort level?
No, we have no questions on those and we're comfortable.
Okay, and Mr. Eaton?
No questions. We're good with those as well. Thank you.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, for Board of Building Appeals case number 21-0026. The appellant is Adam Carr for Save a Warrior Foundation for the premises located at 4285 Caleb Hill Road in Hillsboro, Ohio, 45133. The appellee is Jeffrey Eaton, building official, Bureau of Building Code Compliance for the state of Ohio, and adjudication order number 2020022584. I move that the variance be granted, subject to the conditions previously read into the record and noting the no objection of the chief building official.
Okay, that motion's been made. Is there a second?
I will second, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Mr. Kaiser, Mr. Wendling, Mr. Carr, Mr. Grotsky, Mr. Eaton, the variance is granted on those 10 conditions. Is there anything further to come before the board on this case?
No, sir.
Nope.
Okay. Well presented. Best of luck to you. Great cause.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
give
you, guys.
ourselves a short restroom break or whatever, stretch, whatever, and then Susan, can you do a roll call for the Groveport case?
I will.
Okay, thank you. Nick, off record.
Hi, this is Susan. Let's see, I believe we have Dallas, Brian, and Mark all on by phone. Is that correct?
That's correct. Can you hear us?
I can. Thank you. And then Sherry is in by computer or laptop, correct, Sherry? You're muted.
Correct.
Okay. And then we have Stephen Moore. Are you still here, Stephen?
Yeah, I'm still here.
And did I hear, is Scott Height attending or no?
Yes. I'm here.
Oh, you're with him. Okay, perfect. Okay, they'll get started when they return. And then Mark, I see you're here. David Blair, he's still planning to join. Mark, you're muted. Mark, okay, I see you. Do you know if David is attending?
He is. I heard you say the Groveport. You realize that the Groveport project and the Aramere project are two separate projects?
I do. I just see that you're scheduled at 2:30 and I'm just checking to see who's here for the following case. Groveport's next and then the New Albany.
Okay. But yeah, I think David, I don't know whether David's joining Brian or just us.
Okay, well, the building, Mike's not here yet, and I believe the fire official is though, Brian? He was, yes, but he's muted. Okay.
Yeah, Sherry, I'm here. I'm here for the New Albany one, though. I just logged on early, so I didn't miss.
Yeah, you're with the, are you with the building or the fire department?
Fire department for Monroe Township Fire.
Okay, is Chief Dudley attending as well?
I'm not sure if he'll be in or not, or if he's in another meeting.
Okay, okay, well, I just see that somebody's entering now.
Okay, I just came back. Is Dave Blair there? Is he present for the New Albany case yet?
Not yet, I'm working on the second case, but everyone's here for the I'm sorry, the Groveport.
Okay, everybody is? Okay.
Yes, and let me find out, I just admitted 614-400-6163. Could you identify yourself?
That's Mike Barica, the building official at the City of New Albany.
Oh, okay. Hi, Mike. You'll be the next case. They're running a little behind.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. I see Chip and Brad. I don't see Paul, but maybe that's just my screen. Is he present?
I am here, Mr. Chair.
Okay, very good. Okay. And Nick, you're back with us. You ready to go? Okay. I got
Yep.
Okay, got the thumbs up. All right, we're going to call case except 130 on our docket. Yeah, she's going to need to mute. Okay, it's a Groveport case, and it's case number 21-0031, and that jurisdiction's adjudication number is noted on the docket, and it deals with the TriTech Laboratories, the KDC-1 Project Brutus located in that jurisdiction. Let's have an introduction of the parties, first beginning with the appellant representatives. Please try to do this individually, state your full name, then spell your last name for our record, and then the capacity by which you're here on behalf of the appellant. We'll do the same thing with Mr. Carroll and Mr. Moore for building and fire. We'll have an oath administered, and I'll get a waiver to see if the parties are willing to proceed in front of a board of 4 today instead of a board of 5. Appellants, please enter your appearance.
All right, this is Brian Downey. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, this is Brian Downey, last name Downey, D-O-W-N-E-Y. I am with KDC-1 TriTech Laboratories, and I'm the Director of Engineering.
Thank you.
My name is Dallas Morrison, M-O-R-R-I-S-O-N. I'm the architect.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mark Hufnagel with M Engineering. Last name is H-U-F-F as in Frank, N as in Nancy, A-G-L-E. Also working on behalf of KDC-1.
Thank you. Ms. Scholl.
I'm Sherry Scholl, S-C-H-O-L-L, and I'm the plan reviewer for the City of Groveport.
Mr. Moore.
My name's Stephen Moore, M-O-O-R-E, building official for the City of Groveport.
And then our fire official, Mr. Carroll.
Mr. Carroll had to step out. This is Scott Height, H-I-T.
Okay. I got you. Very good. Thanks.
I was able to make it.
Well, because we're far enough behind, you were able to make it. Okay. Very good. Okay. If Ms. Scholl and the other gentlemen that have entered their appearance, if you need to stand, raise your right hand. Nick, would you administer the oath?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, if you were on for part of the last hearing or at the beginning, you heard that we're a board of 5. We are only a board of 4 this afternoon due to a scheduling conflict. One of our board members had to jump off at 2 o'clock today. Mr. Morrison, Ms. Scholl, Mr. Downey, Mr. Hufnagel, any objection in proceeding forward with a board of 4?
No.
Okay. And is our CBO, Mr. Moore, any objection?
No objection.
Okay, and Marshall Height?
No objection.
Okay, very good. Whoever wants to present first for the appellant, you have the floor.
Thank you. This is Mark Hupnagel with M Engineering. We're here to request a variance today for the storage and handling of Class 1B water miscible flammable liquids stored in 16-ounce or less bottles. The Ohio Building Code currently limits the quantity of this material to 240 gallons. If you go above that 240 gallons, the code limits you in area and also requires fire-rated separation. So we're here to ask for a variance without separation, without area limitations, and maintaining our current F1 and S1 use. So with that, Brian's going to talk to you a little about the building and the process that's happening in the building.
All right, so again, Brian Downey, I'm the Director of Engineering with KDC1. The facility that we're speaking about today will be basically a manufacturing facility conversion of raw materials into finished bulk, and then finished bulk will be packaged into individual containers and shipped out of the site. So we will be bringing in raw materials. This will be both for water-based and alcohol-based products. The alcohol-based obviously is the majority of the conversation today. Raw materials will come in both small quantities, 55-gallon drums, as well as up to bulk raw material offloading operations. Those will be kitted, skidded up, and batched into up to 5,000 gallon. I see our drawing is up. Thank you. If you kind of follow the flow, on the bottom left-hand side would be the raw material storage, component storage warehouse. Bottom left-hand side, it will move to the right through our batching process. Well, there will be batched into up to 5,000 gallon batches. It will be stored and transferred via closed pipe system out to our filling lines, packaged into the individual containers, into corrugate, and then sent up to our shipping warehouse, finished goods warehouse up on the top right-hand corner. It can reside anywhere from 24 hours up to potential 5 days due to micro hold, and then we'll ship to our customers these.
And just to clarify one point, what we're talking about are hand sanitizers and body mists. So while we say Class 1B water miscible flammable liquids, they qualify. But these are your everyday products that are in your house, hand sanitizer and body mist.
Correct.
A little bit about the building. The building is about 580,000 square feet. It's F1, S1, and then B in the office. It's mixed use, non-separated, unlimited area building. So things I should note, the blue dashed line you see on the drawings, that's a 2-hour fire barrier. The production area and warehousing is separated with that fire barrier. That's a client request and insurance carrier. The building is also separated with a 4-hour firewall. That's the green line going left to right on the plan down the center of the building. So what we're asking for as far as quantities, we're asking to be allowed to have 2,000 gallons of alcohol in the production area. That's in the sort of lower right-hand corner where you see the production lines. And then we're asking for 140,000 gallons up in the shipping area that's in the top right corner. If you go to sheet, if you can, LS 1.3, if you've got that ability to bring that drawing up. The areas of alcohol are actually in yellow, where we're asking for the variance.
Okay. Questions of Mr. Downey or Mr. Hupnagel? Okay, Mr. Moore?
I don't have any questions at this time. I think I'm going to wait until after I hear from Mr. Moore.
Mr. Moore? Stefan, I think you may be muted, or we've lost you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm there.
Okay.
Well, we've met with the applicants several times to go over this, myself and Mr. Height, to look at what they're wanting to do. If you've noticed in your packet, there are a list of 22 conditions that we looked at. Many of those were the prior for cases they've heard in front of the board before at their New Albany plant. And we reworked those to be for this local situation and adjusted them. And with those conditions, we have no objection to the variance being granted.
Marshall Height, is that same for the fire department?
Yes, that's the same. We have no objections.
Okay. Questions of either our fire official or our building official by members of the board?
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is Paul Began. I do have a few questions just regarding the conditions. For other cases, we did have a few extra conditions. I just want to make sure that those indeed were not things that were also wanted. For example, there was a request on a previous similar case to this to add additional manual pull stations and audible visual devices. Did you want to keep that option available to you to do that, or not? That's one of them. A second one is the waste containers for broken products, having special containers. And then finally, we had seen in previous cases, and again, that the facility that was before has come before us several different times to expand that occupancy, as special striping area plans for where that the product was allowed to go. We had a special striping plan for that. Again, these are other conditions that were on a similar case that were not included in the list of 22. I just wanted to make sure that the building and fire officials were okay with removal of those additional items, or if they wanted to include those.
Mr. Moore?
He's muted.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Mr. Height, while Mr. Moore is muted?
They're both on the same.
Oh, okay.
This is Brian Downey from KDC. I don't see any reason why we couldn't comply with those. We have plans to stripe the floors anyways, so I don't think that is an objection here.
Okay, Mr. Moore, Mr. Height, you're muted.
You're still muted.
We don't have, Susan, do you have the ability to unmute? Or just
No.
you can mute attendees, but you can't unmute. Okay.
Right, they need just to use their cursor over the microphone.
Yeah, can you
click on it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The system kind of kicked out on us. That's why we couldn't get to it. We have no objection to those. We've already discussed that striping and what they were going to do, but if we want to make those conditions are fine by myself.
Did you hear Mr. Downey essentially say the same?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, members of the board, thoughts?
I'm in support of the variance with all of the conditions listed, and I appreciate both Marshall Height and Mr. Moore and the applicant working through those conditions ahead of time so that we're not engineering their project for them. That's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, likewise, apparently this is necessary for the operations of the facility to not have hazardous materials separated. So I'm not sure what the conditions were, but I'm sure they're based on previous projects, they're adequate. So, we support it.
And it sounds like Paul is as well, and he's looking at his monitors, so he must be working.
If I may, Mr. Chair, Ms. Scholl, did you have any comments as the plans reviewer? Or?
No, I worked with Mr. Moore and the applicant through all of those conditions.
Okay.
He was offering you an opportunity to be on the record.
Thank you.
Okay. Paul, would you want us to just go off record for a second?
No, give me a moment to throw it up on the screen, Mr. Chair, so that unfortunately, even though we have them all written and everybody has a copy of them, I do think we still need to read through them to make sure that we maintain the record.
I would agree. Are there 22?
There's a few more. Again, it's part of the questions there was a few additional items that apparently the appellant does not have objection to that I think are worth putting on here. And again, it relates more to those production lines or filling lines where there should be some striping and possibly some additional pull stations and devices added there to ensure that if needed, that those workers have the ability to signal the alarm as needed.
Okay, so for the party's sake, Mr. Beegan's going to put these proposed conditions, share those on the screen, and then he's going to read through those, and then you're going to have an opportunity to seek clarification or ask questions, and otherwise we'll gauge your comfort level with those.
Okay, they are up on the screen, and I do believe that they were taken from the conditions that were submitted to us. So hopefully everything is good here. Variance is conditioned upon the following. Number one, the high hazard occupancy areas identified on Collaborative Design Limited drawing LS 1.3, revision 3, dated March 22nd. 2021 shall be classified as use groups S1/F1 and are not required to be fire separated from the main warehouse area based on the conditions contained in this variance. Number two, the high hazard commodity shall be limited to a class 1 water miscible flammable liquid with less than or equal to 80% alcohol in containers containing no greater than 16 ounces. The product shall only include finished packaged goods, and any filling or dispensing of the product in unapproved areas is prohibited. The quantities shall be limited to 2,000 gallons in the production area 163. Number three, the design professional shall submit documentation of underwriters laboratory validated full-scale fire testing substantiating the fire suppression system design to the satisfaction of the building and fire officials as part of the construction document plan review process. Number four, the areas permitting the non-separated storage of flammable/combustible liquids, herein classified as high hazard, shall be no greater than 12,000 square feet in an approved area identified as high hazard area warehouse 212 as shown on Collaborative Design Limited drawing LS 1.3, revision 3 dated March 22nd, 2021. Number five, the alternate fire suppression system installed in the high hazard area warehouse 212 shall utilize the FM Global design listed in data sheet 7-29, which will provide acceptable coverage of the commodity in conjunction with the required full-scale UL testing documentation. Number six, the area permitting the non-separated production area 163, parent fill lines, and parent of flammable/combustible liquids, herein classified as high hazard, shall be no greater than 4,000 square feet in approved areas identified as high hazard area production area 163, as shown on Collaborative Design Limited Drawing LS 1.3, revision 3, dated March 22nd, 2021. Number 7, the palletized staging areas for the high hazard commodities shall be limited to 1 pallet high, parent 5 feet, 0 inches maximum end parent, and not exceeding the maximum ceiling height of 40 feet with ESFR sprinkler coverage or the total square footage listed in the conditions granting the variance. Number 8, let me scroll up here. All floor and staging areas, including minimum 8-foot service aisles, shall be conspicuously marked and maintained with high visibility floor identification to the satisfaction of the building and fire officials. Number 9, the fire suppression system installed in the high hazard area, production area 163, shall utilize an NFPA 13 design utilizing early suppression fast response, parent ESFR, and parent technology with sprinkler head spacing not to exceed 10 feet. Number 10, the fire suppression water supply system shall be comprised of a primary and backup pump with a storage tank that are compliant with the 2017 OBC and NFPA 13, 20, and 24, as well as meeting the total water pressure and flow requirements to adequately supply the building fire suppression systems at all times. Number 11, a 2.5-inch open but unrestricted fire department standpipe valves shall be installed in high hazard areas and interconnected to the fire suppression system with the installation, final number, and location to the satisfaction of the fire official. Number 12, the owner shall provide and maintain a foam extinguishing agent that is compatible with the approved alcohol-based flammable liquid located in an area with sufficient quantities acceptable to the fire official. Number 13, portable fire extinguishers installed in the high hazard areas shall be based on an OBC/OFC 906.1/NFPA 10 extra hazard and shall be compatible with the foam extinguishing agent used for alcohol-based flammable liquids. Number 14, the building fire protection system comprising the various components identified in this variance and as shown on the construction documents in the total for this project shall be considered required systems and listed as such on the certificate of occupancy. Number 15, the building fire protection systems shall be maintained as required systems utilizing the Ohio Fire Code and adopted NFPA standards. Number 16, the chief building official is responsible for ensuring compliance with all the conditions required and identified herein as written without additional modification, alteration, interpretation, or elimination without resubmission and approval by the Ohio Board of Building Appeals. Number 17, the chief building official shall forward a copy of any certificate of occupancy to the fire department having either emergency response or fire prevention responsibility. Number 18, a copy of the certificate of occupancy shall be prominently posted near the main entrance to the facility. Number 19, additional fire department connections shall be determined and located to the satisfaction of the building and fire officials. Number 20, a fire safety evacuation plan shall be required and maintained utilizing the Ohio Fire Code as guidance to the satisfaction of the fire official. Number 21, the future production area, if built out with non-flammable/non-combustible liquid production, shall not require any additional variance modifications related to this specific variance request. No variance, alteration, or addition shall be required with the Board of Building Appeals as it relates to this specific variance request, contingent upon the absence of non-flammable/combustible liquids. Number 22, manual pool stations and audible/visual devices shall be installed in areas determined by the building official and fire official and interconnected into the building control panel. These devices shall be installed under OBC 907, inclusive in the 2016 NFPA 72 edition as a partial system and maintained as a required system utilizing the Ohio Fire Code. Number 23, the waste bins for storage of broken products shall be in an approved container and maintained to the satisfaction of the fire official. Number 24, a floor striping plan shall be submitted and approved by the building and fire officials and then installed and maintained to the satisfaction of the fire official. Number 25, this variance is granted based on the use, construction, occupant load, building area, and level of activity identified on the approved construction documents and the maintenance of all systems and other conditions required herein. And last, number 26, failure to comply with and maintain the conditions of this variance shall render the variance null and void as determined by the building official.
Okay, those are 26 proposed conditions. I paced in my office. That was about 500 steps, just so you know, to read through those.
Thank you.
Mr. Downey, Mr. Huffnagel, or for that matter, Ms. Scholl or Mr. Morrison, any questions regarding those?
No, not at this time, thank you.
Okay, comfort level okay?
Yep, very comfortable.
Okay, and Marshall and Stefan?
Yeah, no problems.
No objections.
Okay, very good. I think we can get to a motion. I'll entertain one now.
Paul, you want
Yes.
to go ahead?
Yes, Mr. Chair, for Board of Building Appeals case number 21-0031, the appellant is Tritech Laboratories LLC / KDC Columbus for the premises Tritech Laboratories Project Brutus interior alterations at 440 South Hamilton Road, Groveport, Ohio 43125. The appellee is Stephen Moore, building official for the City of Groveport Building Department, and adjudication order number 2021-001. I move to grant the variance subject to the conditions previously written in the record and noting the no objection of the building and fire officials.
Okay, that motion's been duly stated. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously, but by a 4-0 vote of this board. Is there anything to come in front of the board on this case that's further at this time?
No, Mr. Chair, I would like to again reiterate as Mr. Welsh did that thank you for coordinating with the building and fire officials. It makes our job a lot easier. And since we've seen several cases like this before, I think it's good that everybody's working collaboratively.
I echo that as well. Okay, Nick, do we need a break or can we go to our last case?
We can go straight on ahead. It's fine.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to see if we have everybody here. Susan, we think we do. Let's try it. It is, let the record reflect, it's 3:07. Thank the parties for our 2:30 case for their indulgence. We did run over. This is a New Albany case. It's case number 21-0039. Deals with the Aramere KDC1 multi-tenant Roman numeral 2 property or premises located in New Albany. That jurisdiction's adjudication number is noted on the docket. I think we had Mark Swisshelm had been present earlier. Mr. Blair, are you present now?
I am present. I can see you on video, and I am present audibly by phone. So.
Okay, and then Mr. Swisshelm?
Yes, I am present as well.
And Mr. Borka, you were on earlier, correct?
Yes, correct, Mr. Chairman.
And then we have Brian Ben Miller, who's going to be standing in for the chief. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. If the four of you would stand, raise your right hand. Nick, would you administer the oath?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Okay, Mr. Blair, you've been in front of us a lot. You have the floor. Oh, I want to get a waiver. Hold on real quick. I want to get a waiver. We lost Mr. Gehring earlier today. Not anything other than a scheduling conflict, but he's not with us right now. Any objection in proceeding in front of a board of 4, Mr. Blair?
No objection.
Okay, and Mr. Borka?
No objection.
Okay, we'll proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, board. I will need a little help, and I apologize. Things just quite working. I don't know, for some reason we're quite working right technically here. So I believe one of you, whoever's in charge of it, might have to share a screen and bring it up. I provided an A100 drawing, which is primarily what we'll be talking about. So that's the floor plan of the space. And I think has all the documentation of the protections we'll be providing or asking for in the variance. So if someone wants to bring that up and share it, I hope it's close by and easy for you to do. This is not so far off the last case you just heard. So, and we've heard this similar before. This is for Aramere KDC1. This is out in the New Albany Beauty Park. They have it's a multi-tenant building. They are on one end of it, the northern end of the multi-tenant building. They actually have another facility that we've done a variance for a couple times on the south end of this same building. This is going to be, the building itself is F1S1 B and has H3 rooms in it, of which we will be building another in a final phase, and we are asking for that in the variance. We will be keeping that. This space, though, as is variance is being asked for is only for storage of products, so it will not be actually a manufacturing facility or space or containing a minor B use just because there's a minor open office area in it. Occupancy for this space will be less than 15. What we are asking for, you'll see 3 phases on the plan that's being shared. We are just going to be permitting the Area A Phase 1, but we were asking for a variance for the full build out so we don't have to come back to the board in the future as the rest of the space is built out. We are have 2 different products. The bulk goods are to the right side of the plan. It will be stored in the hazardous material room, in a full H3 room with all the requirements that go with that for containment, for fire protection. There'll be in-rack fire protection of that. That is 55-gallon drums in that room. We are asking as part of the variance for a small area for inventorying and understanding that there is inventory for pulling out and bringing product in prior to it going in the hazardous material room. So we have an area C. You will see in the requested variance for those bulk materials. In the other area, we're going to have materials or finished goods they'll all be in glass, but in glass containers from 5 ounces or under. Those are in rack in the Area A. So we have sprinkled rack protection per FM 729 Appendix A, which is included in a documentation you received. Essentially sprinklers every 2 rows with in this case corrugated protection on every 2nd row. It'll be 4 high. But that sprinkler protection for the product is located in this rack area. And then there is open stowing protection for, again, incoming and outgoing product, stacking before it loads in the Area B you see. Entire building and this whole area is protected by an ESFR system. Actually, there's information included in the building, 10-foot spacing, and the protections for this floor stowing, height of the building, etc., are included in the variance book, and we would meet that. So that's what we're asking for. Down at the bottom of the in the center of the document. There is information with regard to we are varying tables 307.1 parentheses 1 We have type 3A, 3B product, and I'm sorry, 3A, 3B, and 1B product. Type 3A product is limited to 330 gallons in the sprinkle building, 660. Type 1B product is limited to 120 gallons. Sprinkle building, 240 gallons total. Class 3B is unlimited. We're basing this worst case scenario as if every product was 1B in the variance application.
Questions of Mr. Blair before we hear from the New Albany officials?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Biorka, we'll hear from you first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. We've, as been the case in the past, have worked alongside with the architect and the owner, as well as the fire department, well ahead of time, establishing the different systems and conditions that we feel necessary to help minimize risk to the occupants in granting such variance. So at this time, we don't have any objections to the presentation as given today by Mr. Blair.
What does Monroe Township Fire have to say, Mr. Van Miller?
We were involved in the discussions also, and like the city, we have no objections.
Okay, I'd open it up for questions of any of the parties and by members of the board, or comments for that matter.
I guess just to clarify, Mr. Blair, this is Chip Welch. You said the build out. I mean, this is all occurring at once, or all of the plans have been submitted for this particular design and build out, correct?
So yeah, what we've done is we've submitted what you see here. We submitted to New Albany to gain a variance on this entire project. They will ultimately receive, as soon as this hearing essentially is done, a individual set of plans that just address the build out for phase 1 or area A and B. That's because the racking for the what you see in the green on your screen, that will be done later, budgetary, and actually the entire hazardous material area in the bulk storage will not be built out in the first phase, not be utilized in the first phase. So the first phase is only going to include the finished good storage in the blue and in the finished good stowing. The rest of the build out will be done at a later stage. But we're asking for the variance for all of that, so we're not coming back to the board.
So I guess that begs the question, and I'll direct this to the chair and Mr. Began. Are we able to do that at this point? I mean, that's typically not how we've operated in terms of granting prospective variances.
I think we're limited to the four corners of the adjudication, are we not? But Mr. Biorka, what are your thoughts on that?
We have a similar project.
This is an appeal taken to your adjudication order, so I mean I think that's where our jurisdiction lies.
Correct, and our review of the documents was the full set of documents for the complete build out. So we would issue an approval, or after our review, we'd issue an approval of the documents for the full build out. As we understand it, the timing on this isn't like years away. I think they're planning to do one phase after the other. Is that correct, David? Or somewhat correct?
Mark, I'll let you just respond to that. You know a little bit better with regard to the phasing, the timing of the phasing as you see it.
Sure. No problem, and thank you for entertaining us. Yes, the plan would be to complete phase A or area A immediately, and then hopefully in this calendar year 2021 finish Phase B, and then funding available calendar year 2022, we would immediately start the hazmat area in Area C, in which you see in the yellow to the right of your screen. So we fully anticipate this being a fluid process and one phase right after the other. But budgetary restraints prevent us from doing it all in one project.
Right. So the CHIPS question then, Mr. Bjork has indicated that the full scope of plans has been reviewed. So would it any longer be a prospective variance or just a variance, notwithstanding the timing of moving on those?
Mr. Chair, let me ask another question to that. I mean, do they have additional construction documents to submit to build out those other phases? That's really what we're getting to.
Yeah, the only thing that hasn't been submitted really is just final sprinkler protection for the hazmat room, fire alarm drawing for the hazmat room, a few detail to confirm the ramp height for containment. So there's just a few detail elements with regard to the entire thing. But we have done this before. We've submitted enough to get through the variance, obviously understanding the entire build out with an assumption, knowing we're just dealing with some minor detail elements to finish up documents.
What does that response do for you, Paul?
Yeah. And Mr. Chair,
I guess what I'm saying is the permit that's going to be issued only for the construction of the first thing, or is that permit, you know, does it stay open for 2 or 3 years? Or will there be a new permit issued for the additional construction? That's, I mean, that's really kind of what I'm getting to. I mean, because Mr. Barica gets new drawings in, and even if, you know, they match closely to what's going on here, he may have additional adjudication or order items that need to be addressed, of which means it's a different permit.
Mr. Began, if I might, this is Mr. Barica. Yeah, what we would do, what we're anticipating to do as we have reviewed the full project, we would issue one building permit and then use that same building permit for the construction of the 3 phases. As we've said, we anticipate those being back to back with one another, so there wouldn't be any open time between construction or inspections or approvals for that matter. Also, as we have in the past with other similar facilities, we have always had the condition that if any of the variance items or the building were to change by manner of occupants or use, that we definitely would come back to the board for those items. And I think you may recall that we have come back to the board when there have been items that have changed, but currently we're not thinking that this would change beyond what we're seeing today and the other items that Mr. Blair's mentioned that are pending to be submitted for our review.
Okay. Thoughts or comments this time, or further questions? Chip, what are your thoughts?
Okay. No, I'm in support of the variance, and I think if Mr. Barica and the building department is issuing one permit with what effectively sounds like a phased-in review process, or I don't know the correct terminology, but I think my fears of a prospective variance are alleviated at this point, and unless I'm missing something, but I think I'm okay.
I actually feel the same way for what that's worth. Brad?
So, I mean, I guess we're approving the variances for a quantity of 49,493 gallons, which exceeds the allowable for this building. Is that correct? I mean, we don't have construction plans, right?
Well, not in front of you, but we do.
Okay.
The variance is right. The variance is for, we have outside the hazardous material room, we have a total of 166,056 gallons requested, assuming worst case scenario, that would be 1B product. Allowable is 240 gallons. So we're varying 165,800 and, sorry about my math, 16.
Oh, okay. I don't know where I got the 49,000 from. I guess
That's okay.
I thought I read from the information that was provided. But I mean, we're basically approving the the amount, the quantity of hazardous material.
Yes.
For this facility.
Correct. That's really the only variance on the table.
I mean, does it matter what area that's in? I guess, is it in the area A and B and C, or?
It is in A, B, and C. We provide that obviously, so we can stripe out the proper areas, be sure there's no modifications to any sprinkler systems in those areas that would not meet these requirements, etc.
You know, I mean, is that the total quantity in A, B, and C, or is that in?
That's the total quantity, yes. If you look at, there's a middle column of information on the plan, identifies the number of pallets and the number of gallons in the different areas. So it has a total gallons outside hazardous material room, 166,056 gallons.
And how much the allowable then? What are you exceeding it by?
The allowable, if it's a worst case scenario of 1B product, is 240 gallons in a sprinkler building.
240 gallons.
Yes.
And you're going to 166,000 gallons?
Correct.
Okay, well, it exceeds it quite a bit, doesn't it?
It does exceed it quite a bit, yes.
So in lieu of that,
for the special protection system, correct.
So you're providing a special protection system? Is it including sprinklers, I assume?
Yes, it's the INRAC sprinkler system.
Okay.
INRAC sprinkler system based on 729 for it's combined plastic and glass, but for glass containers under 5 ounces. And then similar for stowing locations for barrels and for the finished good products.
Yeah, because
David, I'm sorry for interrupting. This is Mike Barica. David, you might speak to the fire hose connections and the
sure, yeah, additional items, additional items added, sure. Additional items to that system added. There are 2 2.5-inch hose butt locations that we are adding to the building for to supplement the protections. There's a coded note 2 that's up towards column line G to the plan north of your page. There's also another one down to the plan south of your page to the right near column line B. So those are being added to to the plans. We had previously had on this building and in this park provided foam carts on these in these locations. We've been asked by the Monroe Township Fire Department not to add this. They're looking at a larger park global ability to have foam access for themselves and for other possible responding fire departments that would deal with the same product type that's throughout many buildings in the park and deal with it on a little bit larger global area, and they'll have more control over it. So they're looking at that overall. It's not written into this. There is a note in the variance booklet with regard to that they've want to keep the foam card out and are looking at that for a more specific way to handle foam and for the hazardous materials in the entire park. So that's listed. All this will be handled through all the forks in the building will be type EE. So that will be addressed.
Do you have a list of conditions that, like in the previous project that you guys have gotten together, drawn up?
Yes, there are. Susan has with her a list of 20 conditions, I think, that have been modified with regard to this project that I have issued to the board that they may utilize.
Well, what is the material exactly? Maybe I missed that. What are you making with this stuff?
Similar to what you heard before. Mark, you want to respond?
Hand sanitizer?
So no, actually this, for the most part, this is home air freshener product, the type you would see plugged into a wall in a bathroom or a living room. They are, generally speaking, 24 milliliter glass bottles or 0.8 ounce bottles of finished goods going out in 24 pack boxes. So that would be what's stored in the finished goods almost exclusively, which is almost exclusively class 2, 3A and 3B material. Within the hazmat area, the only product that would be going in there, the H3 room, would be our bulk fragrance that comes in from the fragrance houses, which would be delivered to us in 55-gallon drums and then transported over to our manufacturing facility across the street at MT1 Suite 500 for processing.
Okay.
I think it might also be worth noting that all of the materials that are going over to this facility, this is not going to be a new operation for us. We're just moving our current operations from 2 buildings and consolidating it in 1 building. So outside of annual growth, this isn't additional capacity for us. We're just consolidating our warehousing operations so we're a little more efficient.
Okay, Paul.
Okay.
Paul, what are you doing?
Susan just sent me over those conditions, so it is going to take me a little bit of time to put these together into our format.
Okay.
If we want to take some time, I don't know if there's other questions the other board members have about that. I guess my only question would be to Mr. Barica and the marshal, as long as that they've reviewed those as well too. Obviously, we'll post them and read through them again, but I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Mr. Blair, you shared those, right?
They should be in the booklet that everybody received. If Mr. Barica
they were not.
See or read them, were they not? Michael, are
Well,
you at a place I can send them to you?
No, we
They're
have,
similar to what we've done before.
We have them now,
Yeah,
but
and I,
yeah, let's do this. I think what Paul's saying is he just got them from Susan.
Yeah.
So let's go off record for just a few minutes, let him, do what he needs to put those in shape. And then he'll put them on the screen. We'll read them because I think Mr. Blair, you're by phone, and he'll read through those and we'll vet them with everybody, make sure we're all on the same page. So we'll go off the record for a few minutes.
David,
Yes.
what booklet are you talking about? Because did you send that at a different time, or are we just talking about the conditions that were sent this afternoon?
You're just talking about the conditions I sent this afternoon.
Okay, that's what you meant by booklet.
That's the ones. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure the case file was complete.
Yeah. No, I thought I had sent those to you when I sent you the booklet and the down information electronically. Kind of a separate file, but that was my intent.
When you say booklet, all I have is your request for appeal and the adjudication order. Is there more that goes with this case file that was submitted after the original request?
Yes, submitted after the original request. Yes, it was submitted last.
I will double check, but I don't think a booklet was submitted. Or wait a minute, I take that back. I'm looking at my notes.
Massive electronic file was
on
submitted.
423, but yes, you're right. And they are they're in tumbleweed for the board. I just don't have the hard copy yet from the office.
Yes.
Okay. I just checked my notes. All right, and then the conditions were sent this afternoon, and I apologize. I just got those to the board. We were corresponding about getting into the meeting, and I didn't pay attention to the attachment.
No problem.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
See your microphone on, Paul.
Almost there, Mr. Chair.
Gotcha.
All righty, Carl.
Okay, and then Dave, you're not able to look at anything on the screen, right?
I'm looking at what I sent over. I can see the screen.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah, no, I can see. I've been seeing it. Yeah.
Okay, all right, good. Nick, back on.
The only thing to keep in mind, Mr. Chair, and this is for the board, if we want to add any other conditions regarding the phasing of it to this, but let's get through these first, and then we can discuss that item if we want to add. Variance of condition on the following. Number one, the high hazard occupancy areas identified on Schremschock Architect's drawing A100 dated February 12, 2021 shall be classified as use group S1 and are not required to be fire separated from the main warehouse area based on the conditions of this variance. Number two, the high hazard commodity for in-rack storage outside the H3 room shall be limited to Class 1B, Class 3A, and Class 3B flammable and combustible liquid stored in glass containers not greater than 5 ounces. Number three, the design professional shall submit documentation of Underwriters Laboratory validated full-scale fire testing substantiating the fire suppression system designed to the satisfaction of the building and fire officials as part of the construction document plan review process. Number four, the alternate fire suppression system installed in the high hazard area A rack storage shall utilize the FM Global design listed in data sheet 7-29, which will provide acceptable coverage of the commodity in conjunction with the required full-scale UL testing documentation. Number five, the palletized staging area for the high hazard commodity shall be limited to 1 pallet high, paren 5 feet 0 inches maximum end paren, and not exceeding the maximum ceiling heights of 35 feet with ESFR sprinkler coverage or the total square footage listed on the conditions granting the variance. Parent reference A100 for square footages, and parent number six, all floor staging areas, including minimum 8-foot service aisles, shall be conspicuously marked and maintained with high visibility floor identification to the satisfaction of the building and fire officials. Number seven, the fire suppression system installed in the high hazard areas B and C shall utilize an NFPA 13 design utilizing early suppression, fast response, parent ESFR, and parent technology with the sprinkler head spacing not to exceed 10 feet. Number eight, the fire suppression water supply system shall comprise of a private static storage pond utilizing 2 required stationary fire pumps that are compliant with the 2011 OBC and NFPA 13, 20, and 24, as well as meeting the total water pressure and flow requirements to adequately supply the building fire suppression system at all times. Number 9, a 2.5-inch open butt unrestricted fire department standpipe valves shall be installed in high hazard areas and interconnected to the fire suppression system with the installation, final number, and location to the satisfaction of the fire official. Number 10, the owner shall provide and maintain a supply of foam extinguishing agent that is compatible with the approved flammable and combustible liquid located in an area with sufficient quantities acceptable to the fire official. Number 11, portable fire extinguishers installed in the high hazard areas shall be based on an OBC/OFC 906.1/NFPA 10 extra hazard and shall be compatible with the foam extinguishing agent used for Class 1B, Class 3A, and Class 3B flammable and combustible liquids. Number 12, the building fire protection system comprising the various components identified in this variance shall be considered required systems and listed as such on the certificate of occupancy. Number 13, the building fire protection system shall be maintained as required systems utilizing the Ohio Fire Code and adopted NFPA standards. Number 14, manual pull stations and audible/visual devices shall be installed in areas determined by the building official and fire official and interconnected into the individual occupant building control panel. These devices shall be installed under OBC 907 inclusive and NFPA 72 2016 edition as a partial system and maintained as a required system utilizing the Ohio Fire Code. Number 15, the final floor striping as shown on the A100 drawing dated February 12th, 2021 shall be installed and maintained to the satisfaction of the fire official. Number 16, a fire safety, evacuation, and emergency operational plan shall be developed and annually maintained to the satisfaction of the fire official, utilizing the design guidelines of the Ohio Fire Code, Chapter 4, and listed as a special condition on the certificate of occupancy. Number 17, this variance is granted based on the use, construction, occupant load, square footage, and level of activity identified on the approved construction documents, including the maintenance of all systems and all other conditions required herein. Number 18, a copy of the certificate of occupancy shall be prominently posted near the main entrance to the facility. Number 19, the chief building official shall forward a copy of any certificate of occupancy to the fire department having either emergency response or fire prevention responsibility. And number 20, failure to comply with the conditions of this variance shall render the variance null and void as determined by the building official.
So Paul, how much, if any, did you vary what Dave sent or Susan sent you?
I modified the order a little bit to make sure that the notices in compliance were at the end of the list.
Gotcha. Mr. Blair, were you able to follow those?
Yeah, he added a couple notes with regard to the, which I think were appropriate with regard to the fire safety and evacuation plan. Thanks for changing that. I had evaluation written down. So, and added a couple notes with regard to code references on that and NFPA reference chapter 4. So that's good. So I was fine with what was written. I guess I have one question and maybe a comment or a question as to how fire would like to handle it. Item 10 says the owner shall provide and maintain a supply of foam extinguishing agent that is compatible with the approved flame or flammable and combustible liquids located in the area with sufficient quantity acceptable to fire official. We are not doing foam carts on this, at least at this point, but I think maybe that's still, that condition still probably remains as it is because we obviously still have to provide foam fire extinguishers. So I don't think it renders it void. I just didn't know if Brian had any other wording he wanted to provide in that.
Brian, I think that's condition 10, right?
Yeah, condition 10.
Yeah, no, I think that wording's okay, because I think ultimately what's going to happen, talking to Chief Wright, is we're going to ask that the tenants actually remove those foam carts and purchase drums of foam, the 5 gallons tubs, so they can be utilized and have those in the main sprinkler room. So we're never going to use a foam cart. It's a cost to the businesses that foam just gels. So I have no issues with that wording the way it is.
Okay.
Thank you. Yep.
And that is to the satisfaction of the fire official. So if whatever those modifications that need to be made are approved by the fire official. So I think it is fine as written.
And then, Mr. Borka, your thoughts on those proposed 20 conditions?
Yes, no objection. Very nicely done, Mr. Began. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think we've gotten through the proposed 20 conditions without event. I think we could entertain a motion.
Again, Mr. Chair, I don't know if we want to add any conditions or anything regarding the phasing pieces of it, or if there's anything that does need to be added. I don't think Mr. Barica and the appellant seem to see a need for that. I just wanted to make sure that would be something that is okay with the rest of the board members. I know there was a little bit of consternation at the beginning of this hearing.
Right, I think we overcame this prospective variance concern, but I'm just speaking for myself.
So Paul, are you saying you think there needs to be language in there or not?
I'm leaving it up for discussion. I don't think there necessarily is. I mean, Mr. Barica has been before this board. He does a very good job. And I think if there's something jumps outside of the boundaries that we have put in place, I think he'd be the first to raise his hand and call foul. And I know the fire department right there is very good as well too, and would be willing to do the same. So for that, I am willing to trust the local officials to carry that order out.
Yeah, and we wouldn't want Mr. Blair to foul out.
No, we wouldn't.
No, I agree with you, Paul. I mean, I raised the issue, and I don't feel that there needs to be additional language. I trust Mr. Barica and Marshall B. Miller.
Okay, and then Brad, you want to have a comment or say on that?
You're muted, Brad. It was brilliant, whatever you said.
I trust my colleagues and the building officials and fire officials as well.
What was brilliant was when our engineer said that 160,000 gallons significantly exceeds 240 gallons. I thought that was great. Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, for Board of Building Appeals case number 21-0039, the appellant is KDC/1 Aeromare for the premises Aeromare KDC/1 multi-tenant 2 at 8820 Smiths Mill Road, New Albany, Ohio 43054. The appellee is Michael Barica, building official for the New Albany Building Department, and adjudication order number NA 2021-02. I move to grant the variance subject to the conditions previously read into the record and noting the no objection of the building and fire officials.
Okay, that motion is made. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, gentlemen, the variance is granted with those 20 conditions by a 4-0 unanimous vote of the board. Mr. Blair, anything to come before the board on behalf of the appellant?
No, just wish to thank the board again for their cooperation on the variance process.
And Mr.
And
Bjorka,
staff
anything?
too. Thank you.
And Mr. Bjorka, anything on behalf of the building department?
No, nothing further, Mr. Chair. Just thank you very much for the board's time today. And very
Anything on behalf of Monroe Township Fire?
No, sir. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. Well presented. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our active docket. I will indicate that case number 20-0025, which was Richland County, Legacy on Possum Run, located in Belleville, has been continued. That was an occurrence that occurred late yesterday or today. So that concludes the docket that we have. Do we have a motion to approve compensation for ourselves for our preparation and our appearance today?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we stand to be compensated for April 27th.
Can we dock Neil though?
Well, yeah, we could. I would entertain a supplemental motion.
Well, thank you, Paul, for writing those conditions today. I mean, obviously that's too significant. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, there probably is a disparity of wages that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe we could take Neil's portion for the other half of the day and.
Yes, it was about 20 till 2, and he goes, "I'm getting off after this hearing." So he sent me a text. Susan, you did not prepare minutes, or I've not seen any minutes from yesterday, correct?
We did those yesterday for April 12th.
No, I know. We don't have any other minutes to approve for April. We don't have yesterday's minutes to approve. You didn't.
I'm sorry,
prepare.
no, we'll do that at the next meeting.
Okay. So is there any other new business to come in front of the board? Hearing none, our next meeting will be Thursday, May 6, 2021 at 12:30. That also will be virtual. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Again, subject to May 6, 2021 at 12:30, we stand adjourned. Nick, as always, thank you very much. Susan, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, guys. See you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.